Usually when a new electric vehicle drops, you kind of expect it to look like a spaceship, like touch screens on every single surface, maybe a steering yoke instead of a regular wheel, and just, well, zero physical buttons anywhere.
Yeah, that hyper-digital era of car design. I mean,
Yeah.
it looks fantastic in press photos, right? But
Mhm.
sometimes you really just want to, I don't know, turn on the windshield wipers without navigating 3 different submenus while you're doing 60 miles an hour.
Exactly. Which is why today our mission is unpacking the newly released Skoda Elroq EV. We're slicing through some long-term road tests, engineering specs, and frankly, some pretty intense bite debates to figure out if being aggressively normal is actually this electric vehicle's greatest superpower. Because honestly, for you listening, it might just be the palate cleanser you didn't even know you needed.
It really might be. The Elroq is fascinating, mostly because of what it isn't. So it shares the exact same MEB platform, which is basically Volkswagen's universal electric chassis.
Right, same as the VW ID.4 and the Cooper Tavascan, yeah.
Exactly the same. But it takes a completely different approach to the actual driver experience.
Yeah, and if you look at the EV forums right now, people are definitely venting about that shared platform. Like with the Tavascan, for instance, it looks incredibly flashy on the outside.
Oh, definitely. Very aggressive styling.
Right, but owners are complaining about the sports seats having these really uncomfortable fixed headrests on long trips. And plus, its charging limit is bizarrely capped at just 135 kilowatts.
Yeah, which is frustrating. But then you look at the daily reality of the Elroq. Someone actually just took this thing on a 2,500-mile road trip just to see how it handles the daily grind.
Wow, 2,500 miles is a serious test.
Right. And they celebrated it for being just totally unremarkable, but in the best way possible. It offers a very practical 282-mile real-world range, a wonderfully tight turning circle for city driving, and crucially highly desired physical buttons on the steering wheel.
Oh, getting physical buttons back on a steering wheel feels like finally getting a tactile volume knob back on your stereo after years of aggressively swiping at some frustrating touch slider. Your hand just knows what to do without having to look away from the road?
Exactly. But it's funny because it might look completely normal on the inside, but the underlying physics of how it drives are actually extraordinary, especially when it comes to stopping.
Right, the regenerative braking. There was that Alpine Pass road test that completely broke down the mechanics of it, right?
Yeah, so driving down a 1,200-meter mountain pass, the rear permanent magnet motor actually flips its function to become a generator.
Which is wild to think about.
Totally. Coasting down that mountain, the Elroq pulled 4.7 kilowatt hours of energy back into the battery.
Wait, so rolling down a hill literally puts fuel back in the tank?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
That makes it roughly 5 times more efficient than a diesel equivalent driving that exact same route.
Okay, but hang on. If I'm just coasting and letting the motor slow me down and I'm not actually pressing the brake pedal, how do the cars behind me know I'm slowing down? Is that safe?
Well, the EU actually has a strict regulation for this. It has nothing to do with your foot hitting the physical pedal at all. The car uses an onboard accelerometer to constantly measure your actual rate of deceleration.
Oh, so the car is essentially doing the math on gravity and momentum in real time.
Yes, exactly. The instant your deceleration hits exactly 1.3 meters per second squared, the brake lights activate automatically.
That is pretty incredible engineering. But I guess it's not all Alpine magic, is it? Because while the motor is wildly efficient at recapturing energy going downhill, the car's efficiency absolutely plummets when dealing with freezing temperatures.
Yeah, a 0 degree Celsius test revealed some pretty harsh realities. When trying to heat the cabin, the heat pump's consumption peaked at 4.3 kilowatts and stubbornly refused to drop below 1.5.
Ouch.
Yeah, in a single hour, it consumed 2.5 kilowatt hours just to stay warm.
Which is double the energy of rivals like the Peugeot E308. But here's what I don't get. If the heat pump struggles this much at freezing, why are manufacturers charging a premium for an upgrade that essentially gives up when it gets truly cold?
Well, it really comes down to how heat pumps actually work. I mean, they don't generate heat, right? They compress and move ambient heat from the outside air into the cabin.
Yeah, so if it's freezing out, there's no heat to move.
Exactly. When it hits 0 degrees, there's barely any thermal energy outside to harvest. So the system just abandons the heat pump and falls back on a basic power-hungry resistance heater to keep you warm.
So you're paying for an efficiency upgrade that just vanishes when you need it most. Speaking of things vanishing when you need them, the interior space, reviewers pointed out a pretty hilarious design flaw.
Oh, the cup holders.
Yes, the
Ah.
central cup holder divider doesn't actually move enough to fit two standard travel mugs side by side.
Which just goes to show, I mean, you can engineer a car to calculate deceleration physics in real time, but you can still completely overlook the basic geometry of a commuter's coffee cups.
Priorities, right. But as we wrap up this deep dive, it leaves you with a really provocative thought to mull over. If the Elroq is succeeding precisely because it blends advanced EV physics with, boring physical buttons and extreme practicality.
Right, the return to normalcy.
Yeah. Could this signal the end of the hyper-digital spaceship interior era for cars? Are we finally heading back to a world where cars are built for the actual driver rather than just the aesthetic?
I think so. It's really the return of the tactile volume knob, but applied to an entire vehicle.
Well said. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Keep asking questions, and we'll see you next time.